welcome back. Weekend Politics, wherever it is you are watching us from. This is Calabar, and we are live on CRBC TV. Again, my name is Joseph Inyang. Now, remember, on the 29th of May 2023, His Excellency the Governor of Cross River State, Most Distinguished Senator Prince Basi Otu, came with the mantra of the people first governance. Now, 3 years and about 3 weeks already into this administration of the people first mantra. So we'll be looking at those policies that have shaped, that have also helped to guide the leadership and governance in the last 3 years and about 3 weeks. Now, I have a man who is responsible in terms of strategic communications of His Excellency, the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Strategic Communications, is right here with me this evening. Eval Asikong. Eval, good evening and welcome to Weekend Politics.
Yeah, good evening, MC Joe, and thank you for having me in your studio.
Absolutely. I remember the last time you came around was about 2 weeks ago, and we assured you that we will be back to ensure that we talk more about the administration of His Excellency, the Governor of Cross River State. There are a lot of policies that this administration has, but we know that the first core agenda is the people first. So, which is the broader policy of the governor, touching people's, reaching out to people, and all of that. So, I'd like you, Ivan, talk to us. How has this vision, this policy, the people first mantra, been able to? How has it been able to achieve in the last 3 years?
Thank you very much, MC Joe. The governor, in his wisdom, created my office, the Senior Special Assistant on Strategic Communications, with a simple mandate to, by way of expository analysis, to simplify, explain, and interpret the government's policies, programs, actions, and priorities to members of the public. This is because, as you and I know, government policies and programs usually, in principle, appear to be highly complex and sophisticated. So it behooves interpretation so that members of the public will actually understand the actions of government. Understand? So, just like other administrations, the policy framework of Governor Otu is not different. Though the policy of Governor Otu, by surface value, appears to be simple, but in practice it's actually very complex. Understand why? Because it has to do with the integration of policies, programs, as well as projects that were abandoned from previous administrations in order to have them streamlined into continuity. Understand? That was why my office was created. Now, to integrate policies and programs from past administrations is very complex. Why? Because you cannot integrate policies and programs without adopting the master plans that drive those policies and programs. And that's where it becomes very, very complex. Because when you adopt the master plan that drive policies and programs from past administrations, you have to take certain things into consideration, like you make changes to reflect current demographic realities. I'll give you an instance. As of the year 2000, when Donald brought in the initiative of a Calabar Carnival, the population of Cross River State was about 2.4 million. But as it is now, based on the current demographic projection, the population of Cross River State is 5.1 million. So you have to make a kind of changes in terms of the master plan regarding Carnival and other policies from previous administration to project to reflect the current demographic realities. Now, we have said that the policy of Governor Otu has to do with sustainability, integrating policies and programs that were abandoned from past administrations in order to have them streamlined into continuity. You only have a better appreciation of Governor Otu's policy by carrying out a historical navigation into past administration. I am very, very happy you're giving me time today, because last time we were in a rush and I don't like being in a haste when doing my duty. So we better appreciate the policy of Governor Otu by carrying out historical navigation into past administration. Let us start from the administration of Donald Duke. Before Donald became the governor of Cross River State in 1999, Cross River State had basically operated as a plantation economy with little or no contribution towards enhancing improvement in the state internally generated revenue. Donald then, in seeking to diversify the economy and multiply streams of revenue inflow to the state, had to identify potentials in the tourism sector and leverage on it. What did he do? First, Donald had to develop and modernize what used to be called the Ubudu Cattle Ranch into ranch resort. Later on, we're going to see how it was abandoned anyway. Later on, we're going to see how Governor Otu visited this ranch resort that was abandoned into somnolence and carried out the renovation. You understand? Just have patience with me.
I'm here for you.
The floor is mine. I'm very happy.
Absolutely.
Yes. Donald also brought in the Tinapa Business and Leisure Resort, understand, which by its framework was designed to generate return on investment to offset its liability because facilities were gotten for the construction of Tinapa Business and Leisure Resort from African Development Bank. Understand? So Donald brought in Tinapa Business and Leisure Resort, which by its framework was designed to generate return on investment to offset its liability and also to enhance in improving on the state internally generated revenue. Donald also brought in the Calabar Carnival, which you and I know and has been reputed as Africa's biggest street party, which has projected Cross River State to the global frontrunner of tourism recognition. So at the wake of Donald's administration, Cross River State became a leading tourism destination, not just of Nigeria, but of Africa at large, you understand. So at the wake of Donald's administration, this tourism initiative of Donald actually generated a lot of revenue and brought a lot of influx of tourists into the state. But sadly enough, this tourism initiative of Donald were abandoned by the next administration, which is what Governor Otu is against. Now, after Donald, Liel became the governor of Cross River State in 2007. And then Liel observed that there have been a serious development deficit at the rural areas, and this to him is totally unacceptable. Policy analysts have argued that such noticeable development deficit were seen at the rural areas during the Donald administration, because it was in the time of Donald that local governments lost their devolutionary statuses. In order to lend credence to this claim, they pointed to Donald's approach of administrative deconcentration, where local governments were rather run as extension of the state ministry. Local governments were not actually allowed to enjoy their devolutionary status as top-tier system in government. So, also, the introduction of the Joint Account Allocation Committee between the state and the local government, whereby money meant for 18 local governments were used to develop just one local government, also became another plausible testament to the reality that local governments have lost their devolutionary statuses. So all these I have mentioned, according to policy analysts, have been the reason why there have been so much development deficit noticeable at the rural areas during the time of Donald. So Leah came on board with a policy response. And what's this policy response? Leah came up with rural development framework. He came up with some rural intervention regimes to actualize these rural development initiatives. There are very many. All these initiatives and programs, we're going to later on see how Governor Otu is visiting them. They are abandoned. So there are many, but I'm going to mention just a few. Leah came up with Rural Access and Mobility Project alongside Rural Development Agency. These dual intervention regimes were saddled with the responsibility of carrying out rural road construction across the 18 local governments. It was within that period that we have construction as far as Bansang in Buki, Adadama in Abi local government, Agoibami, all those rural areas have road construction taken into those hinterlands. Understand? Leah also came up with Project Awake. This is a gender-focused agribusiness intervention initiated to empower rural women who are into agriculture, farming and agribusinesses. Later on, we're going to see how Governor Otu visited this same Project Awake, modified it into Project Grow, make some changes to reflect the current demographic reality, expanded the scope, not just for rural women, but also to women in urban area and youth. You understand? Leah also came up with the Rural State Electricity and Electrification Agency. This agency was saddled with the responsibility of carrying out electrification of rural villages. Understand? Leah also, even his health intervention was basically centered on rural areas that saw the rehabilitation, construction, and renovation of many health centers across the 18 local governments. Understand? But sadly enough, these rural initiatives of Governor Leah Limuke were not sustained by the administration of Governor Ben Ayade. So this has been a jinx. This unfavorable trajectory is the reason why Cross River State has been so economically underdeveloped. Because in most times, facilities are often gotten from financial institutions to carry on this project. And then the state keep on repaying debts for projects that have been abandoned. Understand? So Ayade came on board as the governor of Cross River State in 2015. Now, as I said earlier on, this background is very necessary for us to have a better appreciation of the policy of Governor Otu. Ayade came on board as governor of Cross River State in 2015. Though Ayade's administration coincided with the 2016 economic recession. Understand? So, and Ayade's policy was entirely, in its entirety, shaped by the 2016 economic recession. Though the recession did not start exactly in that 2015, you understand? But then the economy of the country had already started waning. Understand? So it was till August 2016 when the country's economy experienced 2 consecutive quarters of declining growth that the National Bureau of Statistics had to officially declare that the country's economy has slipped into recession in 20 years. So the 2016 economic recession shaped Ayade's policy direction. Now, for you to actually understand the rationale or the motive behind Ayade's policy of industrialization, we need to look at the 3 major causes of the 2016 recession that affected Cross River State, because Cross River State suffered the worst hit. Understand? So, a group of policy and economic analysts have argued, the first set have argued, that the 2016 economic recession was caused by crash in the price of crude at the international market. Then there was a crash in the price of crude from $112 in 2014 down to $50 in 2015. Understand? Now, with this drastic drop in the price of crude, according to this policy and economic analyst, it became obvious that the country's vital oil industry has been hit by weaker global prices, oil prices. So for them, this was the cause of that 2016 recession. So the second set argued that the 2016 economic recession was as a result of destruction of oil installations at the Niger Delta by the infamous militants. That resulted in a drastic reduction in the production of crude. And as you and I know, 90% of the crude produced in this country is from the region of Niger Delta. That remains incontestable, MCU. So for this set of persons, this had been the reason why there was that 2016 economic recession in the country. So the last set of the policy and economic analysts argue that it is lack of sound economic policy to have created alternative foreign exchange earnings at the non-oil export. And this was further compounded by the inability of the country to devalue her currency at the depletion of a forex reserve. So this later unfavorable monetary policy led to the discouragement in importation business. You can imagine. This reveals a country whose economy is begging for diversification. That shows that Nigeria is a consumer economy than it should be a producer economy. So Ayade now asks the question, why should discouragement in importation business hit the country so hard? It shows that Nigeria is a consumer economy than it should be a producer economy, and this is very, very dangerous. So that was why Ayade went into industrialization to shield Cross River State not just from the 2016 recession, but from future occurrences of recession. You understand? And also to decouple the state from dependence on oil and allocation from FARC. Now, this background is necessary because it shows Governor Otu, the administration of Governor Otu, appreciates the motives and the rationale behind each of these policies from each of these administrations. And that was why Governor Otu gave the 4 governors, democratically elected governors from Clement Ibri to Donald Duke to Liam Muke to Ayade, award on the 30th of November 2025. This is in appreciation of the rationale and motive behind their respective policies that he gave them this award. Understand? Now, I have given this background. I have set the background. I want to substantiate the claims that Governor Otu, how do we substantiate the claims that Governor Otu actually is integrating the policies and programs from these various administrations and creating a trajectory of continuity? I'm going to now go into praxis. We have principle and praxis. I've given you the principle, we are going into praxis as a political science that you have. So now, let's go to the administration of Donald Duke. In the administration of Donald Duke, Donald constructed the Tinapa Business and Leisure Resort. And as I said earlier on, from the framework, Tinapa Business and Leisure Resort was designed to generate return on investment, not only to offset its liability, but also to contribute in enhancing improvement in the state internally generated revenue. But Tinapa was abandoned, so it could not fulfill such obligation. Consequently, Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, took over Tinapa. They took over Tinapa from Cross River State and took over its liability as a bad debt. This was an embarrassment to Cross River State government. So Governor Otu came on board and reclaimed Tinapa from AMCON, paid 18.5 billion naira. So Tinapa is now a fully owned facility of the state government. There have been renovations, there have been recalibration of the policies and all that. And so Tinapa has now, Governor Otu has saved Cross River State from such embarrassment. Understand? So Tinapa is now a fully owned facility of the state government. So that's one of the continuity and one among the instances of the sustainability and continuity trajectory in the policy of Governor Otu. I've cited an instance in the praxis aspect of my analysis that the governor has visited Tinapa, reclaimed it from AMCON, paid 18.5 billion naira. Now Tinapa has become, because Tinapa was taken over from Cross River State by AMCON in 2013. Since 2013 till now, the governor has succeeded. It is now that Governor Otu has succeeded, based on his continuity trajectory, to be able to reclaim Tinapa from AMCON. Now, let us go to Obudu Cattle Ranch. Obudu Cattle Ranch was abandoned. It was becoming moribund. We know in the heydays of Donald, the influx of persons from outside the country, how Tinapa was being, how Obudu Ranch Resort was being advertised on CNN. So, but it was abandoned by successive administrations for reason of discordance in political interest or ideological variation, which you and I know very well. So, but Governor Otu came on board and he commenced the renovation of Obudu Ranch Resort. Now Obudu Ranch Resort is bouncing back. It has become the hotspot, the global tourism hotspot it used to be, attracting a lot of tourists. Understand? I think the person that is in charge of the Obudu is Sunday Michael, special advisor. So there are a lot of work that has been done at the Obudu Ranch Resort. Then Tinapa, these ones I'm enumerating are initiatives, policies and projects from the administration of Donald. Then Governor Otu also observed that the Calabar Carnival, which was the pride of Cross River State, was dying. And he said no. He had to do something. He promised not only to revive Calabar Carnival, but to globalize Calabar Carnival. So what he did was, in 2013, when he assumed the reins of leadership. 2023. In 2023, when he assumed the reins of leadership, he had to set a 13-man carnival review committee headed by High Chief Eden Duke, alongside other stakeholders in tourism and culture. And their mandate is simple. Say, review Carnival within its 20 years of existence, review the structures of Carnival within its 20 years of existence, submit reports and recommendations to enhance the globalization of Carnival and to reform it. So I think they did a very wonderful job, because the report they submitted to the governor actually informed the improvement of the 2025 carnival. Sorry, if you observe, you will notice that the 2025 carnival, the attendance, the planning, everything was strategically excellent. The attendance was more than what it used to be before. Understand? And also, under the administration of Governor Otu, there is a passage of Calabar Carnival Commission law. Understand? Which has set a legal and institutional framework for the continuity of a carnival. So we have been able to sufficiently prove that in the administration of Donald, that Governor too, through his sustainability trajectory as a policy, has touched almost all the facets of the policies and programs in Donald's era. So we are now going into the era of Imoke. Yes. So as I said earlier on, Imoke's era is rural development. So aside other signature projects, basically his policy is tilted towards rural development. However, let me start from the Calabar International Conference Center. As far as I know, this NSAS, Calabar International Conference Center, was destroyed, the victim of the NSAS. It was destroyed and abandoned. But when Governor Tu came on board, he said, no, this facility was built using the state resources and revenue. So he visited the Calabar International Conference Center and renovated it. He renovated it, and now Calabar International Conference Center is fully functional. So Governor Tu also has passed the Rural Access Law, or the Rural Access Authority Law. This legal foundation and institutional framework is to enhance the construction and rehabilitation of rural roads, which Imoke initiated in his rural development framework. Understand? As you can see, currently there are rehabilitations of roads at rural areas across the 18 local governments. Even my own local government, where I come from, there is a 20 kilometers ring road. They call it Bahomono Ring Road, cut across 9 communities. Some of those roads were constructed initially, but they failed. Why? Because the materials used for the construction of the road were substandard. And so the structural integrity of those roads were compromised. So Governor Tu is revisiting those rural road infrastructure, not only to rehabilitate, to expand, because as I said, as you are adopting policies and programs from past administration, you're also adopting a master plan. And for you to adopt a master plan, you have to make some changes to reflect the present demographic reality. So Governor Tu is not only doing rehabilitation, he's also doing expansion of these rural roads because of the current demographic reality on ground. Then Governor Tu also has visited the Nko Road in Ugep Yako local government area. And that road was constructed in the time of Imoke, but it started failing seriously. It became impassable, hindered vehicular movements. So Governor Tu visited that project and is constructing it. So apart from this rural rehabilitation, Governor Tu also is constructing new roads like the Boki East and Boki West Road. I mentioned it last time, and Boki East and Boki West Road, and the cost implication is 10 billion from the state fund. It's 17 kilometers. Governor Tu is constructing it. At this era, at this time, that there is so much paucity of fund. And the other if you check, you will see that Cross River State is amongst the poorest state in the country. Yet the governor is meeting up with these challenges. Understand? So still under the in Moke's administration, Governor 2 has touched a lot of, even in the health sector, like renovations and rehabilitation of primary health centers. Most of those primary health centers were put in place, were constructed by Senator Lee Moke as governor of Cross River State. Governor 2 is rehabilitating most of those health infrastructures. Even as I'm talking to you, there is also rehabilitation of the General Hospital at Dupani, Akpabio rather. There's also rehabilitation of the health center Ikorofyong Ambai in Akpabio. Understand? So now we are done with the administration, how Governor 2 has visited most of those policy initiatives and projects that were abandoned in the era of Imoke. So we are going into Ayade, yes. Yes. So now in the Ayade's administration, as I have said earlier on, Ayade went into industrialization because of the circumstance that informed his policy direction. So we will look at the Obudu Cargo International Airport. Ayade laid the foundation. Governor Ayade laid the foundation of the Obudu Cargo International Airport. But the project was not taken to a significant milestone. Governor 2 came on board. Ordinarily, if it were to be in the past, as it is a jinx in Cross River State, Governor 2 could have abandoned the Obudu Cargo International Airport, but he said no. He visited the Obudu Cargo International Airport. MC Joe, there is nothing wrong in the state even having up to 5 airports. Even though Israel is a sovereign entity, Israel, the landmass of Israel is 21,000 square kilometers. The landmass of Cross River State is 20,050 square kilometers. So the landmass of Cross River State and that of Israel almost the same. So there is nothing wrong in Cross River State having even up to 5 airports, 5 functional airports. It will be of advantage to the state. So people were saying, why will Governor Otu spend the state resources in visiting a project that does not have a clear-cut master plan or sustainability direction? Governor Otu said no. This airport was started using resources from the state, so we must continue because his administration is hinged on continuity. So Governor Otu has taken the construction of the Obudu Cargo International Airport to almost 90% completion. You understand? And then we also have the Kali Air. You know, the Kali Air was initiated by Governor Ben Ayade. Then there are some requirements that you must meet for you to be able to operate an air transportation system. So Governor Ayade could not fulfill those requirements. Governor 2 came on board. It will surprise you to know that irrespective of the paucity of funds, Governor 2 has bought 3 big aircraft, which makes Kali Air now to be qualified to run as an airline transport for the state. Without that, Kali Air couldn't have been qualified. So Governor 2 has done that. Mind you, this is one of those initiatives from Senator Professor Ben Ayade that Governor 2 has visited. Also, Governor 2 is visiting those sprouts of industries that came on that Governor Ben Ayade initiated, as I told you, to shield Cross River State from future occurrences of recession and to decouple the state from dependence on oil. Understand? When I started, I told you of the reason why Governor Ben Ayade went into the policy of industrialization. This foundation I'm giving you is to attest to the fact that the administration of Governor Otu appreciate the motive and rationale behind each of the policies from each of the administrations. That's why he decided not to abandon any of those projects. Because if you compare, you will see that some of these subsidiary contemporaries, states like Kano and Lagos State, They have role on the policy of continuity, as I said last time. That's why you see the economy is becoming very, very massive. So Governor 2 derives his inspiration from the success story of Lagos State. You understand? In Lagos State, successive administrations had always inherited programs and policies from their predecessors, and either taking it to a significant milestone or completion. Last time I told you, I said Tinubu came on board as governor of Lagos State in 1999, and most of the programs and policies he initiated were not started by himself, were started by successive administrations. And up till today, those projects and programs are still running. I talked about the Lamata that gave rise to the bus rapid transit system of Lagos State, that is generating an average of 500 million naira for the government of Lagos State. And there are other umbrella initiatives, other outlier initiatives from the administration of Tinubu that are being sustained by successive administration that today is helping to collate and muzzle the internally generated revenue of Lagos State. That's why the internally generated revenue of Lagos State is 61 billion naira averagely every month. Understand? And out of 35% of that IGR from Lagos State, which is 20 billion, come from the Lagos State seaport. Now, Governor 2, in his wisdom, decided, because the expectation is that Governor 2 should abandon the Bakassi Deep Seaport, which Governor Benayade has initiated. Mind you, most of these initiative, most of these signature projects, they are done not just from the state resources, but there are facilities gotten from financial institutions or multilateral agencies to set up these facilities. So Governor 2 now said, no, he will not abandon that Bakassi Deep Sea Port. Imagine a situation where we have a functional deep sea port. If the deep sea port of Lagos, if the seaports of Lagos State could generate an average of 20 billion for Lagos State, you can imagine our own Bakassi Deep Sea Port is the most strategically located maritime gateway because of its proximity to the Gulf of Guinea and the rest of Europe. By advantage, the Bakassi Deep Sea Port is of more advantage than that of Lagos. If you go to the seaports in Lagos, you'll see a lot of congestions, and then proximity from Lagos to the northern part of the state, because the seaports are being majorly patronized by the northerners that are landlocked. So the northerner will rather prefer to patronize Calabar Deep Seaport than Lagos seaport for many advantageous reasons. So you can imagine if the Lagos seaport that is already shook could generate 20 billion for Lagos State, how much more our own Bakassi Deep Seaport that is most strategically located. Understand? So you can imagine how many jobless youth, how many jobless men, how many jobless women that a functional Bakassi Deep Seaport will take off the street. So the economic import of the Bakassi Deep Seaport is going to be very enormous. So Governor 2 is wise. If it were to be maybe another governor, he may abandon the Bakassi Deep Seaport. I have made an appearance. I make appearances on FM studios, and they will raise this question and concern that the Bakassi Deep Seaport you are talking about does not have any sustainability master plan. The sustainability master plan, is it in the stream we go and fish it and drink? Is it not people that will crack the sustainability master plan? That's why Governor 2 has come to prove that sustainability is a possibility.
Now, if I must really commend you. Truly, His Excellency made no mistake appointing you, to sit pretty on that position as strategic communications. Indeed, you've done a great job analyzing, the last 3 administrations. Now, let's look at all of these lofty policies of His Excellency. Now, side by side, how are the people being affected?
Yes.
So talk to us on that. How are the people being affected, by all these policies of His Excellency?
Yes. Like in the education, the governor has done a lot. The governor has initiated a social intervention scheme to benefit, because Cross River State In most times, we have a lot of poor parents who could not send their children to school, and in most times we have dropouts from school as a result of the inability of parents to send their children to school. So, Governor Asi Ededu for the past, ever since he assumed the reins of leadership, has been paying WAEC fee for all public secondary schools, and that is massive. I think it was in the West some decades ago that this was initiated in the West, and that's why when they talk of educationally advantaged region, they will always mention the West. It's because the West really understood the import of education, and so they initiated scholarship, and that is what Governor Otu is doing. He has been paying WAEC school fees for students. You can imagine how many families must have been relieved. You understand? And then Governor Otu also has brought in a new university, the University of Education and Entrepreneurship, located in Akankwa. So that when they talk of educationally less advantaged state, we will not be mentioned. Understand? So the Governor Otu has brought in a new university, and then he has done a lot of renovations, a lot of rehabilitations of primary schools, of secondary schools through the SUBEP and through the Commissioner for Education. There are a lot. Even there are teachers training service. Teachers are being sent to training, and all this thing is to enhance the improvement in their knowledge, to broaden the horizon of their knowledge, because for students, for pupils to do excellently well, the teachers must be well equipped, mentally, intellectually equipped. So Governor Otu is doing that in the area of education. So this has a lot of positive impact on the people, because educational investment, education is the foundation of every society, the bedrock of every civilization. So the governor is doing so much in the area of education.
Great. Now let us look at the administration of His Excellency is 3 years and some fractions. Let us look at the last 3 years, the policies. What have been some challenges these policies have faced?
Yes. The challenges this policy have faced, as I said, I have earlier told you. I said that Cross River State is the second poorest state in the country. The first is Osun State. Because of the loan facility, Aregbe Shola was a predecessor of Adeleke took. Understand? So, because of the debt servicing of those facilities, it has made Osun State to be the poorest. Cross River State is the second poorest in the poverty index regarding subnationals across the country. So the challenge in this, first and foremost, is paucity of fund. Then second, I told you that Cross River State, the landmass of Cross River State is 20,050 square kilometers. People expect the governor to simultaneously carry out this rural rehabilitation, construction of roads and infrastructure development simultaneously across the landscape of the state. You understand? And because of how massive the landmass of the state is, the governor he said, okay, let me not concentrate this development in one area. There are 3 senatorial zones in the state. So the governor now distribute evenly these developments across the 3 senatorial zones of the state, evenly, so that no zone will be left behind or complain that they have been left behind. Now let me tell you something. I went to Sparkling FM to enumerate the performance of the governor for the past 3 years. So people were calling to ask questions. Someone called me from BRC and said, is BRC still part of Cross River State? That there is no development in BRC. So because I was not aware that there was a road construction going on in BRC, I had to apologize. Do you know? Immediately I left that studio, someone from BRC called me and said that no, there is serious road rehabilitation in BRC. He mentioned some streets too that this current administration is constructing new, not even rehabilitation, new construction in BRC. I was shocked. Why? Because an average local government in Cross River State is almost the size of, let's say, three local governments in Cross River State is the size of a state.
Akamba alone is almost the size of Lagos State. Akamba local government.
So now the challenge is that Governor 2 is doing all this simultaneously, but people expect him to do to cover the whole state at the same time, which is not possible.
With lean resources.
With lean resources. As I told you, Cross River State is the second poorest state in the country. With lean resources. And so that's one of the challenges. The governor is doing because of how massive the land mass of Cross River State is. These things are not being seen. But I am happy that for some persons who are very appreciative of what the governor is doing, some of them, though development has not gotten to their community, but development, this rehabilitation is in their local government. So they have hope that one day it will get to their, because one thing is that let it start from somewhere. That's when you will now have the hope that one day it will get to my own village. Like in Abi, where I come from, the ring road, Bahomono ring road, 20 kilometers, is massive. Someone from Ebom, because Ebom is one of the communities that is benefiting from the ring road, called me and said, the construction has commenced. Why not we do articles about it? Because they say the construction has commenced, that everything is going on very well. So I am from Itigidi, though nothing is done in Itigidi yet. But I have hope that since it has gotten to Bahomono, it will get to Itigidi, where I come from. You understand? So that's the challenge. People will expect that the governor will simultaneously, in this massive state, Cross River State and Israel, they are the same inside, the same size, the same land mass. So you can imagine a governor. This is not a president. Governor doing all this, and the development is, the result is so obvious. People see. You understand? So this man, while he was in the Senate, in National Assembly, he did so much. Even most of the projects in tertiary institution, he did them. You understand? So he will not want to slow down in that pedestal. The man has already carved a niche for himself. You understand? So that's one of and then another challenge is the issue of some desperados sponsoring outsiders to attack the government of our dear Prince Otu, because we have been so lenient. Some of these persons were in the previous administration accommodated because of how porous Cross River State is. I will say this: Cross River State, we are at times we are so kind. We say hospitality is part of our collective peculiarity, but then it has become an advantage to us. It's a disadvantage to us. Because we accommodated somebody from Delta State. Not only from Delta State, we accommodate people from Akwa Ibom, from other states. Even in the time of Ayade, Governor Ayade gave someone from Kano appointment in Cross River State. Ask me, how many Cross Riverians have ever been given appointment in other states? We are so porous, and because of this, these people come into our state. They now know the secret of Cross River State, and they use it to attack us. Understand? So that in itself is also a distraction to the administration of Governor Otu. Understand? So there are a lot of challenges, but we will not want the people to see the challenges alone, or if not, because government, from my understanding, government must not give any excuse. You understand? People do not believe that government could go broke. Government must not give excuse. If not, you'll be labeled inept and inept. You'll be seen as an inept administration. So we will not allow those challenges to deter our focus and our trajectory of development.
Now, Eva, maybe the last but one, because of time. But today, at least we are able to give you enough time to X-ray His Excellency's policies. Now, we have about 11 months to go.
Okay.
Before we start the next administration. What is the way forward in terms of policy? Because we are getting deeply into the political era, electioneering period, will it have any I would say any challenge, in terms of running the political elections and also running with the policies of His Excellency? We have one suffering to the advantage of the other.
In any given administration, the people that run such administration are not only restricted to politicians. We have bureaucrats, we have technocrats. And these bureaucrats and technocrats usually don't have business in politics, in the conventional electioneering politics, because they are technocrats and they are bureaucrats. So the political season we are about entering will not in any way distort the policy of the day, because even though the political actors, major political actors who are in this administration will be actively involved in the politics, the bureaucrats and the technocrats will continue in advancing the policy of the governor. So this political season we are entering will not in any way distort the policy focus of Governor Bassi Edede II.
Now, as the administration launches to 2027 elections and campaign, what would be the policy drive for second term? What are we looking at? What boost are we looking at for the second term of His Excellency?
Yes, as I said earlier on, government is a continuum, as governance is a continuous process. I have said that the policy direction or policy framework of Governor 2 is basically centered on continuity, sustainability of project policies and programs from past administration. So what we are looking at is the completion of most of these projects that were abandoned from past administration, as I have said earlier on, and then looking into new social and environmental challenges. You understand that coming out from the various communities and constituencies. And so the governor is presently carrying out need assessment to reveal or to bear new environmental and social challenges, because there are no two communities or constituencies that have the same challenges. And so the governor is putting this into consideration and putting all of them in a launch pad as we are entering the second term. So this will now become the most perceived priority that the governor is going to face or tackle in the next administration. Not that all the abandoned projects, programs, and policies inherited from past administration will be finished. So the ones that will be left within the first phase of the second tenure, the governor will finish all that and then go into new environmental and social challenges. The governor will look into the area of infrastructure. He will look into the area of health. He will look into the area of education. He will look into the area of aviation. He will look into the area of agriculture. You understand? So those new challenges from this sector, the governor is going to tackle them as he enters because now what makes the administration of Governor 2 very interesting is that the man is not here to create name. There is a fever of name creation when you come into power. You want to come up with a signature project, regardless of the fact that those projects may be abandoned by the next administration. You want to embark on a signature project that will be named after you at the wake of your administration. Whether the signature project has a sustainability tendency, you don't want to know. Like, I'm sorry to mention, the construction of Tinapa Business and Leisure Resort, proper feasibility was not carried out. When I served in the administration of Governor Ben Ayade, we discovered something that made the governor even cry. There are some preliminaries you need to put in place before you construct Tinapa Business and Leisure Resort. Those preliminaries were not put in place. There were no evacuation corridor. There was supposed to be construction of road from here to Aba and Onitsha. Those were not done. But the concern was the facility itself because of the intention of capital flight in it. I'm not blaming it on Donald, but his lieutenants, they are technocrats who did not advise. He was ill-advised by his lieutenants because of the pecuniary gains and morbid intentions they have over the project. You understand? So he was ill-advised. So you need to put all these things in place before you go into signature project. But this consideration were not at all put in place before they. So Governor too came on board, and then he is not interested in those things. He's not interested in making name. He's concerned when he said people first. Is cross river economy first. That will be of benefit to the generality of the Cross Riverians. It means Cross River people, the welfare of the people of Cross River State first. Before his name, even his name itself is not even there. He's not even last. He's not even interested in making name. That's why he's not going into new signature project.
Absolutely.
Yet his policy framework is the most complex, as I said earlier on, because you cannot integrate policies and programs from past administrations without adopting their master plan. I know how difficult it is to adopt these master plans, because you have to make some adjustments, you have to make some modifications to reflect the present demographic reality. Understand? So actually, the man is not doing new things, but yet he is doing the most. Understand?
Absolutely. That's where we just have to hang it. Val, I must say.
Are you sure? Are you sure I've exhausted my time?
Yes, we've been able to put in 1 hour, and it appears so much. We still have so much to talk about His Excellency's policies for the first term. But Val Asikong, Senior Special Assistant to His Excellency on Strategic Communications, I must thank you so very much for your time on the show.
Thank you. I'm obliged.
Yeah, don't worry. Time to time, we'll bring you on show to talk to us more on His Excellency's achievements and policies.
Thank you.
And so, guys, this is where we would be drawing the curtain on the show tonight. Trust me, it's been a roller coaster analyzing and extracting the policies of His Excellency from 2023 and still moving forward. Let's do this again next week, Sunday, God willing. Till then, my name is Joseph Inyang. Good night.